radio today, and he ain't afraid to say what he's thinking. It's the Michael K. Show on 880 ESPN Radio.
No Michael K.
No Michael K.
Jake Asman in for Michael, taking you till 3. Don Hahn and Rosenberg is up then. You got me for 2 hours, as Michael would say, the fastest 2 hours in sports talk radio. 800-919-3776 is the number to be a part of the show. Only one guest today, because I know I got a lot to say, and I know if you're a New York football fan, you have a lot to say. So we'll take plenty of your calls today. I mean, I was debating where to start, right? Obviously, we start football on a Football Monday here. I'd be remiss if we don't squeeze in some Knicks conversation, because shout out to the Knicks and Jalen Brunson for sticking it to the Heat last night. It is always a good day when the Knicks can beat the Heat. But I'll start with the New York Jets, because not only did they get embarrassed yesterday, but we continue to get absolutely gaslit by this head coach who doesn't have a clue what he's doing. Can we be honest? Again, I will fully recognize it is better for the Jets, big picture, to lose these last few games. But how they're losing, how non-competitive they are, that's a problem, because that doesn't actually happen to teams that eventually turn it around. And here's what I mean. So I don't believe Aaron Glenn's going to get fired. I don't think Woody Johnson has the stomach to admit that level of mistake and make a move like Robert Kraft did a year ago. But right now, if Aaron Glenn turns it around with the Jets, it would be a historic outlier. Here's what I mean. Just 4 of 17 coaches since 1980 who started 0-6 or worse eventually led that team to the playoffs. Now, one of those coaches was Dan Campbell. Here's the problem, right? People will say, well, look at the Lions, Jake. Look at the Lions. Okay, let's look at the Lions. They ended their season winning 3 of their final 6 games. They actually trended in the right direction at the end of year 1. And then, by the way, look at the Lions. They started 1-6 the following season in 2022. Are we sure Aaron Glenn would survive if the Jets start 1-6 next year, if they're going to be the Lions? I'm not. And this is before we even talk about how they'll get a higher draft pick now, maybe a quarterback, they have the cap space. Just looking at the evidence, 4 of 17 coaches since 1980 who started 0-6 or worse actually took their team to the playoffs. We're banking on an outlier now as Jet fans. How has that worked for the Jets? So again, Aaron Glenn, I don't believe will be fired, but how could you actually think this team is trending in the right direction? This coach came in and said they're going to win now, then moved the goalpost when they started losing, and he said big ships take a while to turn. It's an instant coffee league. He completely flipped what he was selling. He said all summer that this team would clean up the penalty problem. He started his press conference yesterday lamenting the fact that the penalties continue to hurt them. He has not cleaned that up. We were told that players would play hard for Aaron Glenn. The New York Jets have been outscored 111-36 in their last 3 games. In 2 of those games, they played a Miami Dolphins team that has already benched their quarterback since. They stink. And yesterday, they made Tyler Shuck, who is also a rookie quarterback, they made him look like he was Drew Brees in his prime. Aaron Glenn fired his defensive coordinator. He blamed it all on Wilks and said, we're running the Wilks system. Glenn's supposed to be a defensive coach. Don't tell me they traded Sauce Gardner and Quentin Williams. They sucked with those guys. The New York Jets are going to lose their final 2 games. They're playing the New England Patriots on Sunday. They're playing the Buffalo Bills the following week. When they finish 3-14, just so Jet fans understand the historic ineptitude we're looking at here with Aaron Glenn and this Jets team, when they finish 3-14, Aaron Glenn will join Adam Gase and Rich Kotite as the only Jet coaches to ever lose 14 games or more in a single season. That's where we're starting with this coach. So don't tell me that they're trying to lose on purpose. If they were just going out there and playing tight games and losing, I would understand it. They're getting blown out against bad teams. The Saints were 4-10. You made them look like world beaters yesterday. This team's getting worse, not better. Glenn keeps talking about how they're laying the foundation. There's no foundation being laid. You fired the defensive coordinator. You're going to have brand new defensive coaches coming in trying to lay their foundation. 50% of the roster is going to be turned over. There's no foundation being laid here. And some of the players that we thought where good football players have all regressed. He preached player development. Who has actually improved on this team? I'll give you one, Jawan Briggs. How many times can we say the Jets have a great special teams unit? I'm sick of it. It's not enough. Their 3 wins this year are against 3 backup quarterbacks. They don't have an impressive win. The Jets are supposed to be the Saints, the team that's trending in the right direction after they look like the worst team in the league for several weeks of this year. What can you point to on this team? Let me just ask a simple question. What does Aaron Glenn do well as a head coach? Why should any Jet fan have faith in him? Remember when Aaron Glenn said that they're not the same old Jets when they started 0-3? Remember that? I was at that game in Tampa, that fake comeback Todd Bowles special that gave the Jets a shot, only for their defense to blow it late as usual. Remember that? They're not the same old Jets. He's right, they're worse. Not the same old Jets. Started 0-7 and then tried to act like this was all part of the plan. No, they made the trades at the deadline because they were horrible. Glenn talked about the fact that the last 4 minutes of each half belonged to the coach. He highlighted the fact that the Jets last year under Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich had the lead 7 times in the fourth quarter that they blew. They led the NFL in blown fourth quarter leads. They broke a franchise record for blown fourth quarter leads. They can't even get to the fourth quarter this year with a lead because they're that awful. So again, I have no idea about Tanner Engstrand, the offensive coordinator, because Glenn's biggest decision was Justin Fields, his handpicked quarterback, who he said in part he signed because he was tough to game plan against. He's never been coached properly. Oh, you mean the Justin Fields that with Mike Tomlin was 4-2 last year? How's Mike Tomlin doing this year, Aaron Glenn? Oh, he's 9-6 with the quarterback you couldn't wait to get rid of? Oh, wow. Who could have seen that coming? Only anyone with a brain. And it wouldn't have worked with Aaron Rodgers here because all the blame would be on Rodgers. You'd have the Rodgers derangement syndrome people going after him and not the real problem that this head coach is not good at his job. The roster is also bad. Multiple things could be true. The Jets roster is bad. The coach is bad. And how am I supposed to sit here and try and expect it to be better next year?
Big ships turn slow.
I mean, the Jets can never turn anything around. They just keep spinning around 360 degrees here. It's enough, man. They don't have an interception yet this year. What does Aaron Glenn do when he shows up to the Jet facility every week? We know Woody Johnson said he gives him a hug. After that, what then happens? Because he doesn't call plays on offense. He doesn't call the plays on defense. The Jets are always schematically outclassed. So what exactly does he do? Why should I, as a Jet fan, have any confidence that when the Jets get off to their usual 1-5 start next year, he's not going to be dead coach walking, and we're going to be playing out the string again? The playoff drought will be in year 16, and then we're going to do the coaching search all over again in 2027 and hope that the fact that the Jets have 3 first-round picks and even more cap space, will attract a coach that wants this job. We got to wait till then. Someone texted me around the Jets, I won't say who, and texted me 19, and I responded, 19? 19 games to go, referencing the 2 left this year and then 17 next year with Glenn. That's where we're at. We're a year in. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, Jake, he needs more time. He has been that bad this year. Again, we'd be banking on an outlier for Aaron Glenn to be a good coach at this point. 4 of 17 coaches since 1980 who started their tenure 0-6 or worse actually ended up taking their team to the playoffs. It's enough, man. Again, I don't think he'll be fired, but if Woody Johnson actually did it, he'd have every right to do it. It's been that bad. And don't tell me, oh, Jake, they're tanking. Look at the roster. Brady cooked this, Brady cooked that. Stop. Look what your eyes are telling you. It shouldn't look like this. 800-919-3776. It's one thing to lose. And Bart Scott, who I'm in with tomorrow, filling in for Carlin, he said it on the SNY postgame show yesterday. Should the Saints really be 23 points better than the Jets? The answer is obviously no. And what bothers me about Glenn, a lot of things, but here's another thing. He keeps focusing on these old school talking points like effort, penalties, field position, and obviously those things matter. But in today's NFL, they're secondary. It's not the foundation of winning. He said last week, it's not about the X's and O's. It's all about the X's and O's. Again, first time defensive coach who doesn't even call plays on defense. We've done this how many times? They hired a worse version of Robert Saleh, who for all his issues at least was a master defensive coordinator. At least we saw defensive players get better. Quincy Williams is now unplayable. He was a first-team All-Pro with Saleh. JFM developed into a hell of a player off waivers under Robert Saleh. I could keep going. Sauce played at his best with Saleh. Quinnen at his best with Saleh. You think it's just a coincidence Quinnen goes to Dallas and immediately looks like Quinnen Williams again? I mean, go down the line. Jamie Sherwood actually had a good game yesterday. He was the team MVP a year ago. This year he's been unplayable. Glenn chose to extend him. Glenn sounds like a coach stuck in a 20, 30-year-old mindset instead of adapting to how the league is. You're listening to Tom Brady emphasize on air the other night about how critical tactics and scheme are in today's NFL. My buddy Robbie Sable, who founded JetX, has been all over this. It is about the X's and O's. The other stuff matters, but we're focused on the wrong things. We keep hiring these rah-rah guys. That's not what wins in the NFL. And again, what evidence do we have that Glenn has any idea what he's doing? And he's also the head decision maker too, right? Muji reports to him. The owner referred to Muji as Glenn's sidekick. So I'm so disgusted with the idea, Jake, the roster. Ask yourself this, Jet fans. If everyone says, the Jets are trying to do what the Lions did. The Lions were 9-8 at the end of their second year. How are the Jets going to go 9-8 next year? How? Have you seen their schedule? Who's playing quarterback? We have no idea. Even if they get Fernando Mendoza or Dante Moore, are they being put in an environment where they're going to be successful? I mean, I like some of the offensive line pieces. I love Garrett Wilson. A.D. Mitchell looks like a player. You don't have nothing on that side of the ball, but do we have the right coaching staff? Have you seen who the Jets quarterback coach is? It's a guy by the name of Charles London. He's a former college running back. He coached running backs in the NFL. He only recently started coaching quarterbacks. How is this guy our quarterback coach? He's a former running back. That's who Glenn hired to be the QB coach. And as bad as Justin Fields was, he was never this bad in Chicago or Pittsburgh. Again, there's so many warning signs of this coach not being good at his job. And we are just going to delay what we all know is eventually going to happen. When he survives, we go through next year. The Jets have another losing year. He's fired. We do the search all over again. Because I'm so down in the dumps about this team. It's one thing to lose. And I acknowledge it's better for them to lose than to win these games. But how they're losing is alarming. They are minus 75 in point differential in their last 3 games. It's their worst stretch through 3 games since 2002. It's mind-boggling to me that people sit here and actually try to defend where this organization is headed. You can't do it. 800-919-3776.
No, Michael K.
Jake Asman in for Michael. I know Jet fans are fired up. We will get to the Giants as well because what they did yesterday really opens up an enormous amount of questions you got to ask about the direction of this team going forward. But we start with the Jets, and let's get to your calls. Mr. Jet is first. That's Ira in Staten Island. Hello, Ira. You're on the Michael K. Show with Jake Asman.
Hey, Jake, good afternoon, and let me compliment you. That was one of the best openings I've ever heard on the radio. You hit every point. I don't even know what to say because you covered everything. I agree everything you said. You know how I feel about the coach. You know how I feel going forward. So I'm just going to take it in another direction, and I'm sure you're going to hit this during the show. You look at the offensive coordinator, all right? Now, I get what Justin Fields is, and I was wrong. I was hoping maybe he could have been at least a quarterback for a year or two for us. You got no rollouts, no nothing. They put Brady Cook in. All of a sudden, he's rolling out. He's trying to make plays with his legs. I mean, granted, maybe he's a third string at best, but at least they're trying to give him something to work with. Justin Fields, they take away his legs, and they try to make him a pocket passer. So when you factor that in, you can't have any type of confidence. I don't care if they take Mendoza, they take Moore, if Tom Brady becomes a free agent. The Jets are not going to know what to do with a quarterback. And that's what concerns me the most. You have Aaron Glenn who can't take care of the defense, and you mark my words, Harris is going to be the de facto DC next year, and Glenn will be calling the plays. So it'll be like Ulbrich Saleh. You know, you're going to have the title, and Glenn's really calling it. That's how that's going to go down. But where would they even get a decent defensive coordinator like a Martindale type of guy? Why would he come to the Jets knowing that Glenn's going to get fired after next season? Why would somebody take a job as a DC for 1 year?
Ira, all fair, and I do appreciate the kind words. Again, maybe Aaron Glenn should call the defense. That's what got you the job, right? Now, if you look at his defenses in Detroit, to be fair, they weren't anything special, but they forced a lot of turnovers. How did we have a defensive coach that has not allowed that we have gone through an NFL record now amount of games without an interception? Like, it drives me crazy. Again, what's happening here, people, is not normal. Don't be desensitized because you're just used to the Jets always being bad. They're actually, for their standards, worse than they've ever been. And there is some talent on this team. I get it. They traded Sauce and Quinnen. Still, they've had the same 5 offensive linemen all year. Armand Membu's had a really good year. Same with Tippmann. Same with Fashanu. They still have Breece Hall. Why can't they all of a sudden run the ball? I mean, again, I like some of the moves that Darren Muji has made. And I believe he's done his job better than Aaron Glenn has done his. But how could you have confidence in anyone over there making these big decisions? And Aaron Glenn is just a walking hypocrite. Oh, competition. Made Joe Tippmann have to compete for the starting center job. They anointed Justin Fields the starter, gave him $30 million guaranteed with zero competition. Tyrod's a better quarterback. $30 million guaranteed. Glenn said in part because he's never been coached properly. He was tough to game plan against. This is the guy making the biggest decision the Jets are going to make for the next couple of years. Oh, it's so frustrating. And again, I don't think Woody Johnson is going to make a change here, but he would have every right to. You think the Patriots regret moving on from Gerard Mayo? Again, I know they hired Mike Vrabel, but seriously, a defensive head coach who doesn't call plays on defense, that's the guy we're entrusting to oversee the development of this quarterback who they're going to take. People might not like hearing this. Somehow the Jets will get one of these quarterbacks, whether it's Mendoza or Moore or Ty Simpson from Alabama. I just hope they don't have to trade a lot of picks to do it. That's why lose these last two, not that they have a chance of winning anyway. But it just, again, what does Aaron Glenn do well as a head coach? I don't like being critical of a Jet legend. I don't enjoy doing this. I'm just disgusted that we are sitting here about to go through a 3-14 season. There won't be any changes, and then we just know how this goes next year, Jet fans, don't we? Brutal start, playing out the stretch, dead coach walking, coach search in 2027. Tell me I'm wrong. 800-919-3776. Shiv in Houston, where I used to do radio for 6 years, is next. What's up, Shiv?
Yo, what's up, Jake? Shout out to the Houston Jets fans. I'm sorry Alexis had to go to that game yesterday, man. But the thing that Aaron Glenn does the best is piss off Jets fans. Because I'm telling you, man, his premature celebrating, his walking around, his cachet as if he's done something in this league prior. I mean, I get it, we drafted him, but this is it's all-time bad when the announcers start feeling sorry for us on air and panning to Jets fans. It makes us feel like we've got some sort of mental illness or something, brother. And I mean, I don't get like a sticker or a parking space for this. This is just, I guess, by choice. God bless us all. Thanks, man. Hope you're having a happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you, Shiv. I appreciate the call. Again, I need someone to tell me what Glenn actually does well besides lose games or dance or give us ridiculous sound bites that contradict everything he was preaching all offseason and summer.
Big ships turn slow.
He started quoting Robert Saleh when he used the instant coffee line earlier this year. He said the goal for the Jet season was to have a team Jet fans were proud of. Then they asked him about that a few weeks back, and he said, I never said when. Yeah, you did. You said this season. They obviously pivoted their plan when they started 0-7, and then they traded Sauce and Quinnen. But again, the same people who are now saying, Jake, what do you expect? Look at the roster, wanted me to give praise to Aaron Glenn when they won 3 of 5 games against Dylan Gabriel, Kirk Cousins, and Joe Flacco. Remember that? Oh, they're playing hard for him. They got destroyed by the Dolphins and the Saints. They're going to get destroyed by New England and then Buffalo. They will end on a 5-game losing streak, getting, in all likelihood, blown out in all 5 of these games. It's already been 3 of them. Again, I just don't see how this improves, and that's what sucks as a fan. I hate to say it, but that's where we're at. 800-919-3776. Let's say hello to Bobby in Westchester, who's next on the Michael K. Show with Jake Asman in for Michael. Hello, Bobby.
Hey, Jake. I'm not going to say anything about Aaron Glenn because he'll be out in the second year. Here's the only thing I could think of that could make it better for us. is that they would hire Rex as the defensive coordinator next year. Right?
He'd never take
Put
the job,
pressure
Bobby.
on him.
He would never take the job.
No, but where if he got fired, Glenn, next year, which I believe is going to happen, right? Rex then could be the head coach again. I mean, otherwise, like you said, it's misery. And I knew we were going to lose when we had that chop block at the 4th and 1 that we made.
John Simpson.
So everything that Glenn has said he was going to do, look, he's over his head. I liked him as a Jet, but he's over his head. To me, I can't see anything else. Because if we bring in Mendoza, under him, it's going to fall apart. So that's the only thing I think maybe Johnson could do it. But otherwise, you got to tell me. Thank you, and it's a pleasure to listen to you. Thank you.
Bobby, thank you. Again, I love the Jets. I'll never not be a Jet fan. But we just got to be honest here, people. This is not normal what's happening with this team. It's not. All right? I sit there and watch all these games, and I will watch them more than once because I'm so sick in the head. All these concerns are validated. There's so many red flags with this head coach. The quarterback decision with Fields. He said that the last 4 games of each half belong to the head coach. They're horrific in the last 4 minutes of each half. He didn't know how long the game-winning field goal was when they were in London that Nick Folk could have potentially hit. Oh, it's 65, 68. No, coach, it was 61. He hit from 58 2 games prior against Miami. Remember that? It's just, he was more critical of Brady Cook after the game than he ever was with Justin Fields. Think about that. 800-919-3776. More of your calls right now. Let's say hello to Ed in Northport. What's up, Ed? You're on the Michael K. Show with Jake Asman.
Hey, Jake. Good afternoon. How you doing, buddy?
Good afternoon, Ed.
So, a quick question. Listen, I believe everything that you're saying. Like Ira said, fantastic opening rant. It was wonderful. It took a lot of the points out, but, I mean, Glenn does dress well. But besides that, my question would be, if they do move on from Glenn, we'll say this year, or even next, doesn't this make this job very untouchable where it's just we're just running through quarterbacks, running through D coordinators, running through head coaches? Like, who in their right mind wants to say, you know what, I'm going to be the man for the job? Because the guy that was born and bred a Jet, Aaron Glenn, couldn't handle it. The guy they keep bringing in, it's just no one's sticking here. So what makes someone think that they'll be the guy that can do it? I just want to get your opinion on that. Let's go Islanders, Jake, and Happy New Year and Merry Christmas, and talk to you soon.
Let's go Islanders, Ed. Good call. Again, I don't think Woody's going to fire Aaron Glenn, and it's a fair point. Who would take this job? Is it also fair to say that wouldn't anyone potentially be better if they at least come from an offensive side of the football? Right? Like, again, you're about to draft the quarterback. Even if that guy's maybe not a great coach, could he develop the quarterback and then we'll say thanks, see you later after that? I mean, I don't know. And it's kind of hopeless as a fan because I don't think Woody's going to do it. People bring up the contract that Glenn is owed, right? He signed a 5-year deal. I heard Rich Samiti say on his podcast this week that it's around $10 million a year. I don't think it's a money thing. I think it's an ego thing. People need to understand Woody Johnson made this hire. It's the first coach and GM hire that he made in a decade. He did not hire Joe Douglas or Robert Saleh or Adam Gase. His brother oversaw that. Woody was drinking tea in London as the ambassador, doing God knows what. This is the first time he hired a head coach since Todd Bowles and Mike McCagnon. I don't think he wants to admit this level of mistake that it would be. And I do think the fact that Glenn played for the Jets, it probably makes it tough. I think he likes him. As a person, I think Aaron Glenn's a good dude. I just don't think he's a modern NFL coach. What has improved on the Jets this year? Aaron Glenn said this at his press conference earlier today. He was asked what message to give to the fans. How can anyone listen to what I'm about to play and actually believe this is true?
To me, I will continue to say, just don't let go of the rope. Because there is a plan, there is a vision. From day one, we've been trying to set the foundation of what we want this team to be. And a lot of that is from in-house perspective for the most part. You still have a number of things that you have to go through as far as, making sure that everybody understands exactly what you're trying to accomplish when what type of team do you want to be. And our guys know that. They do. But listen, we have to continue to work on that. Between me and Moose, we got to continue to players that we want. Like that whole deal is something that we continue to look at. And for the fans, listen, it's going to be a tough road, and we knew that. But, man, the thing is, we know exactly what we're doing, and we do have a plan. And just don't let go of the rope. I would say that.
The rope is actually around my neck, Aaron, and it's choking me out because that is what it feels like to be a Jet fan. I mean, again, what's he supposed to say? I understand that. Anyone actually believe that? What foundation's being set? They knew it would take a while? No, they didn't. That's not what they said. Remember Quinn Williams, after they got rid of Rodgers, said, I guess another rebuild for me. And Glenn right away said, no, not true. We're here to win now. And they made moves in the offseason, like splitting up the Rodgers salary cap hit over 2 years to give them more space because they said and implied with their actions they could take a team that had the lead 7 times in the fourth quarter a year ago, clean up the penalty problem, last 4 minutes of each half belong to the coach. They're going to be able to coach up the roster, and they'll win games. They completely misevaluated their own roster, completely misevaluated Justin Fields. Glenn completely botched his defensive coordinator hire. Why should I trust him to now oversee the selection and development of a rookie quarterback? I have no choice, and as a Jet fan, I'm rooting for the man, but I'm not going to sit here and just act like it's all hunky-dory, as Michael Kay would say. Vinny in Staten Island is up next. Hello, Vinny.
How you doing, Jake? Jake, this is the worst I've ever seen it. This guy makes Robert Saleh look like Vince Lombardi. They have to get rid of this guy as soon as possible because they're only going to get rid of him next year. It's got to end. He's absolutely clueless as a head coach. He wasn't even a good defensive coordinator with Detroit. They were like middle of the pack, number 20th in defense. It's terrible. They got talent on offense. They finally got a good offensive line. There's plenty of good free agent quarterbacks out there. They're going to draft another quarterback, and what are they going to do with him? They're going to give him 2 years. He's going to be horrible, and the Jet fans are going to boo him out of the stadium like Zach Wilson and Sam Darnold.
And then he'll go somewhere else, and just like Sam, be successful again.
Quarterbacks take time to develop. Look at Trevor Lawrence. It took him 5 years to develop. Sam Darnold, 5-6 years to develop. You got to have patience, and the Jet fans are the worst. You have 2-3 bad games, and they boo you out of the stadium. They're idiots. The Jet fans are stupid as can be, and Aaron Glenn has got to go. You got to get rid of him now.
Vinny, I appreciate it. Look, I don't think Woody's going to do it. I think we're going to pretend like it's all going to get better when they spend money and have these draft picks, and then they'll start 1-5 next year, and it's going to be another one of those years. I was talking with Anthony Pusick about this before the show, the esteemed producer of DHR. We're kind of where the Giants were a year ago, right? Mara kept Shane and Dable. They know they needed to get a quarterback and win games, otherwise they'd be fired. Well, guess what? Dable's already been fired, and we're going to get to the Giants coming up. Believe me, Giants fans. Shane needs to go too. But that's where the Jets now are. Again, they completely misevaluated every big decision they've had to make, but we're supposed to trust them? Don't let go of the rope. All right, Aaron, I'm going to take the rope, and you don't want to know what I'm going to do with that rope as being a Jet fan. 800-919-3776. At Jake Asman on X. If you want to tweet, I'll read some responses. We're streaming on YouTube on the ESPN New York YouTube channel as well. I'll mix it up in the comment section during this commercial break, so get over there. Again, more on the Jets, more on the Giants. We'll talk about everything going on in the NFL. Big Monday night game tonight between the Niners and the Colts. Jet fans need to be rooting for Robert Saleh tonight because the Jets own that Colts pick. We'll talk more about that later on in the show. Keep it right here. Jake Asman with you, in for Michael Kay till 3 on ESPN New York and the ESPN New York app.
Make cancer screening a part of your annual healthcare routine. New York Presbyterian offers a full range of cancer screenings, including lung, cervical, prostate, colorectal, breast, and more. Regular cancer screenings could save your life by detecting cancer at its earliest, most treatable stages. Screenings are available across New York City and Westchester. Learn more at nyp.org/cancer screening. Stay amazing. New York Presbyterian.
New York Lottery's holiday scratch-off games are the perfect gift for everyone on your list.
Like me, your Aunt Jules. I told you I didn't need a gift this year, but I secretly really want one.
Or me, your neighbor Frank. I hope you didn't forget I'm coming to your holiday party tonight.
Or me. Why does no one ever think of the voiceover guy? Anyway, New York Lottery's holiday scratch-off games have more winners and top prizes up to $5,000. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
There are a lot of reasons why people buy at Ramsey Mazda. It's their selection, it's their customer service, and it's their savings during the More to Move You event. Lease a new Mazda 2025 CX-50 2.5S Select with all-wheel drive for $199 for 36 months. Start shopping now at RamseyMazda.com. Choose wisely. Choose Ramsey Mazda. Call 833-853-2970 for lease details. VIN SN385912. MSRP $32,795. Zero security deposit. Ends 1/2/26.
The holidays are here, and Amazon Pickup is your MVP of package pickup. Need that perfect gift like a brand new jersey for the big game? With Amazon Pickup, you can grab your order from secure Amazon lockers or counters near you on your schedule at no extra cost. It's fast, it's easy, and it keeps your holiday surprises tucked safely away. So whether you're running from work or heading to the holiday party, Amazon Pickup makes holiday shopping worry-free. Find your nearest Amazon Pickup location at amazon.com/pickupmvp. That's amazon.com/pickupmvp.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in New Jersey. T&Cs apply.
Discover a driving experience crafted to inspire. At Garden City Mazda, exceptional design and sophisticated performance come together. During the Mazda More to Move You sales event, lease the 2025 Mazda CX-5 for $229 a month for 33 months. Or the 2025 Mazda CX-50 for $239 a month for 33 months. Both with $49.95 due at signing. It's the Mazda More to Move You sales event at Garden City Mazda. At Garden City Mazda, expect the exceptional.
Out here, days are getting a little cooler, and mornings are starting with a few more layers. It's the season for more time at the grill, more feed for your animals. Heaters burn late into the night, and the woods start calling your name. We appreciate hard-working hands, shared moments, and love for our land. That's why season after season, we're here for your life out here. Tractor Supply.
Rich Eisen here, and we're brought to you by Sonos. This season, make your home feel alive with Sonos speakers. From cinematic sound that pulls you into every holiday movie to game day audio that puts you right in the middle of the action, Sonos makes it effortless to fill your home with incredible ambiance. Stream everything you love, music, movies, or your favorite sports podcasts, all in one place. Sonos' holiday sale is on now through December 28, 2025 at Sonos.com. Discover how easy it is to bring every room to life with Sonos.
Jake Asman in for Michael K.
No Michael K.
Don, Han, and Rosenberg coming up at 3. It's time right now for Game Time, which is brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey. Because when it's game time, it's Tully time. 8:15. Colts are in San Francisco to play the 49ers on Monday Night Football. Monday Night Countdown starts at 6 on ESPN. Then you can watch the game on ESPN TV or ABC Channel 7. Tullamore Dew, the original triple distilled, triple blended, and triple cast matured Irish whiskey. Be sure to grab a Tullamore Dew or try the new Tullamore Dew Honey during today's action. Glasses up to enjoying Tullamore Dew responsibly. I got a kick out of something that happened in the NFL yesterday. So by the Steelers defeating the Lions, Aaron Rodgers sent Robert Saleh and the 49ers to the playoffs. San Fran clinched the playoff spot because the Steelers beat the Lions. So it took a little while, but Aaron Rodgers got Robert Saleh to the playoffs. Oh, man. Remember the optimism we had going into that Monday night game in 2023? Best sports moment of my life, and about 10 minutes later, one of the worst. Only the Jets. But hey, don't let go of the rope.
Just don't let go of the rope.
God. Damian Woody was on Unsportsmanlike earlier today. Actually, no. He was on Bart Carlin. I don't know why I said that. It's just usually, honestly, it's like a verbal crutch, Ray. It's just like, of course, it's unsportsmanlike. But no, he was on our station, damn it. And by the way, I'm in for Carlin tomorrow with Bart from 10 to 2, so looking forward to that. But this was Damian Woody earlier talking about his most concerning thing he sees with the New York Jets.
As a coach, Guys should be getting better. We know that they're a talent-deficient team, but you should still see, from an individual standpoint, players, especially young players, getting better, and I'm just not seeing that when I watch the Jets play.
You're seeing nothing. No one's gotten better besides Trawan Briggs on defense. Offensively, there's a couple pieces, but are guys really improving? Like, Armand Memba was good immediately. You know, Garrett Wilson was good immediately. Like, they actually have some real talented players on that side of the ball. It's not completely dire for any quarterback if that quarterback, to quote the owner of the team, could just complete a pass. But again, are they being coached up well? And again, I need to know. Aaron Glenn shows up at the Jet facility. He gets his hug from Woody Johnson, and then what? And I'm not trying to be a you-know-what. I need to know, what does he do all day? He doesn't coordinate the defense. He doesn't coordinate the offense. He calls plays for neither side of the ball. He's already fired his hand-picked defensive coordinator and replaced him with a guy on his staff. The defense allowed 29 points to Tyler Shuck yesterday. They don't have an interception for an NFL record now, 15 consecutive games. They have 3 defensive takeaways all year. What exactly does the head coach do? That's all I'm asking for. What is he doing to improve things? If I'm Woody, I'm asking these questions. He's telling us that he has this plan. What is the plan? Because your original plan was to try and win games this year, be competitive, show player development, improvement. It's been the total opposite. Damian Woody just said what I've been saying. He knows. Players know. You're a free agent. Why are you signing with the Jets? Sure, they could pay you a lot, but now you got to pay the Jet tax and the state tax here in New York. Don't get me started. Again, I don't know how any Jet fan could have confidence. I would love to be wrong. I'm rooting for Aaron Glenn, and I know it doesn't sound like it, but I got to be honest. This team is so poorly coached, and we're supposed to just blindly go with it. We have no choice. I don't think Woody's going to fire him, but we're going to be doing this coach search just like the Giants are now going to be doing a year from now. That's where this is headed. Again, are the Jets going to win 8 or 9 games next year? The Lions won 9 in their second year with Dan Campbell. Is Aaron Glenn going to be able to do that? Really? To quote Michael K., I'll play along. 800-919-3776. Lewis in Jersey is next up on the K Show with Jake Asman in for Michael. Hello, Lewis. Happy holidays.
Hey, happy holidays. How's it going? I'm not a Jets fan, but I live in the area, so I watch all the games. My boys are Jets fans. And I was of the camp of you got to give them 2 years, with just like Dan Campbell, turned it around. But the last straw was what you said earlier, was that their quarterback's coach was a running back.
Look it up. Everyone out there, Google who Aaron Glenn hired as his QB coach. He's a former running back at Duke. Here's Charles London's experience. You ready, Jet fans? This is who is going to be in charge of overseeing the development of Fernando Mendoza or Ty Simpson or Dante Moore. Here's the resume for Charles London, our current quarterback coach, Jet fans. Duke grad assistant, then Duke running backs coach, Bears offensive quality control coach. We're now in 2007. Titans offensive assistant, Penn State running backs coach under Bill O'Brien, Houston Texans running back coach under O'Brien, Bears running backs coach, Falcons quarterback coach in 2021 and 2022, Titans QB coach and pass game coordinator. Oh, you mean the guy that oversaw Malik Willis's lack of development until he got to Green Bay? Yep, that's him. Seattle Seahawks quarterback coach, Geno Smith. And now the New York Jets 2025 quarterback coach. Again, I don't know Charles London, but I would need to know why he's the quarterback coach. Like, these are the hires I'm talking about. Why am I trusting Aaron Glenn when this is who he picked as his QB coach to help Justin Fields, quote, get coached up properly? Because he said Fields has never been coached up properly. Now, this is the guy entrusted to draft the quarterback? Are you out of your minds thinking this is going to go well? Unbelievable. Tyrone in California, next up on the K Show. Hello, Tyrone.
Hey, how you doing, Jake? It's been a while.
Fantastic, Tyrone.
I'm going to tell you, I loved Glenn when he played with us, He was good at intercepting Marino, but Marino got him one-on-one there. But anyway, there's one thing I have noticed, is that he's not a good leader, because you know what good leaders do when they're coordinators or any leader, because I'm a leader on my job. When they're not producing, you got to take charge and take over. And he just let his coordinator sit there on defense and destroy the year. And I've seen a lot of head coaches take over when that's happening, and I don't know why he hasn't done that yet. Like, maybe, and I never really thought of him as a great defensive coordinator coming out of Detroit. I mean, I didn't see anything that they did that was so crazy that made him such a great defensive coordinator.
Well, Tyrone, his last year in Detroit, they had a ton of injuries, and they finished 8th in defensive EPA. I thought overall he did a really good job. The first 3 years, you look at the numbers, they're not good. And they obviously had a great offense to lean on, too, which certainly helps. Again, Aaron Glenn, when they hired him, they talked about how he's the CEO of the team, and he's going to steer the franchise in the right direction. But he's not an X's and O's guy, right? But that's the NFL nowadays. Look at the Bears with Ben Johnson. Look at the Jaguars with Liam Cohen. Like, I don't think you could hire the straight-up CEO head coach, right? Like there's not a lot of Mike Tomlins that are left that are still very successful. Like, DeMeco Ryans calls the plays in Houston. Mike McDonald, the Seahawks head coach, he calls the plays. Like, look at the best teams. Like, most of the coaches call their plays for their respective side of the ball. Again, we continue to hire first-time defensive coordinators who are learning on the job. Only this time, Woody Johnson trusted Aaron Glenn so much, he made him the de facto general manager. He referred to Darren Muji, the actual GM, as the sidekick to Glenn. That's why I'm harping on this, because I want to get out in front of it. I don't like the direction this franchise is going. You can't sell me on a plan. You've changed the plan multiple times in season because you've been so damn bad at your job. And I have no choice but to root for them to prove me wrong and be successful because I love this team, live and die with them. I was born into it, like that kid that went viral said. But objectively speaking, what has Aaron Glenn done well as a head coach that should inspire anyone to think, we got the guy? 800-919-3776. Quick break, come back, more of your calls, get to the Giants as well, go around the league. A lot to do. Jake Asman in for Michael K.
No Michael K.
It's ESPN New York at the ESPN New York app.
This is Bart and Carlin on ESPN New York.
You guys are so locked in on Dart, and you think he's the guy. Fine, good for you. I'm not there yet. You know why? Because I need proof. I need to see it for more than a few weeks to believe in it. Here's what I know. I see a guy that is nowhere near somebody that I would call a lock to be my quarterback of the future.
This is the question, right? Because do you really, truly have to consider Mendoza?
Bart Scott, Chris Carlin, weekdays at 10 a.m. on ESPN New York and streaming live on YouTube.
If you've been injured in an accident that wasn't your fault, then you need a lawyer who knows New York's unique personal injury and workers' compensation laws. At the Parisman Firm, they have decades of experience handling all types of accident cases and a proven track record of delivering huge results. Their team has already recovered nearly $1 billion for injured New Yorkers. From construction to car accidents and slips and falls, they've got you covered. Call the Parisman Firm now at 718-WORKERS, where your case is their cause. Get the justice you deserve today.
Boxing is back at Madison Square Garden on Saturday, January 31st for the Ring 6. Teofimo Lopez versus Shakur Stevenson. Power meets precision on boxing's biggest stage. This is one fight you won't want to miss. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com and watch every round live exclusively on DAZN.
This is Rick Brunson, the assistant coach from the New York Knicks. I'll be driving to our games this season in style in my new Jeep Gladiator from Princeton Jeep. My friends at Princeton Jeep gave me all-star treatment, and you can expect the same thing. Just mention I sent you, and they'll treat you like family. Princeton Jeep has tons of inventory and great deals on new vehicles. Visit Princeton Jeep at 1045 State Road in Princeton, New Jersey, or online at PrincetonJeeps.com and tell them Rick Brunson sent you.
This college football moment is brought to you by ServPro.
College football teams have moments they recovered from and made it like it never even happened. Like on September 24, 2016, when Tulsa found themselves down 31-0 to Fresno State. With 10 minutes left in the second quarter, Tulsa fought back to tie the game at 41. And then won 48-41 in double overtime.
ServPro, like it never even happened.
Rich Eisen here, and we're brought to you by Sonos. This season, make your home feel alive with Sonos speakers. From cinematic sound that pulls you into every holiday movie to game day audio that puts you right in the middle of the action, Sonos makes it effortless to fill your home with incredible ambiance. Stream everything you love, music, movies, or your favorite sports podcast, all in one place. Sonos' holiday sale is on now through December 28, 2025 at Sonos.com. Discover how easy it is to bring every room to life with Sonos.
Listen up, football fans. You It's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in New Jersey. T&Cs apply. In-app only.
You live for this. The wins, the losses, the slam dunks, and the buzzer beaters. The dream that this is your team's year. Hope. It's what keeps you coming back. So you represent with anticipation and with pride. Because when everything's on the line, your support means everything. That's why the NBA Store is here to support you. Check out the largest selection of official NBA gear at NBAstore.com. A Fanatics experience.
No, Michael K.
I just like the idea of Don just screaming over Christmas music.
No, Michael K. No, Michael K. No, Michael K.
Yeah.
No, Michael K.
Play a little Mariah Carey next break. All I want for Christmas is
no Michael K.
Just Don screaming no Michael K. 800-919-3776. Jake has been in for the great Michael K today, taking you till 3. Don and Alan today, of course, on Don Hahn and Rosenberg coming your way. Then we got Tom, we got Ray producing the show. I want to give some love to the great Bob Wischusen, who was the MVP of the New York Jets during this illustrious playoff drought, which is now at 15 years and counting. So Bob called the Oregon game Saturday night in Eugene, right? The Oregon JMU game that cost me copious amounts of cash because Oregon decided to stop playing hard in the second half and allowed JMU to backdoor cover. I digress.
Bob!
So shout out to Bob Wischusen because he somehow was able to make it to New Orleans in time for a noon Central Time kickoff yesterday for the Jets and the Saints. He apparently got there at 10:28 a.m. and then had to hustle up to the booth to be able to call the game. Now, Ray, you know Bob's travel plans. What logistically did he have to do to get from Eugene, Oregon, late Saturday night and somehow get to New Orleans to call Jets Saints, a game where the Jets did not even score a touchdown, poor Bob, and lost 29-6?
It involved a 120-mile drive from Eugene to the Portland airport, followed by a red-eye flight from Portland to Houston, transfer to another plane to go from Houston to New Orleans, getting an Uber to the Superdome, up to the booth, say hi to Anthony Becht, start calling Jets.
Bob!
Incredible. Shout out to Bob. He's amazing. What kills me about the Jets being bad is that we have arguably the best radio play-by-play guy in the business for calling the New York Jets, and we never get to hear exciting calls. Brutal. He's so good on football, and he's so good with the NHL coverage as well. Shout out to Bob Wischusen, man. He's missed one game in 24 years. If there was ever a game for Bob Wischusen to miss, it's after calling a college football playoff game in Oregon and saying, you know what? We'll let Dan Grassa call the Jets Saints, the 3-11 Jets versus the 4-10 Saints. We'll let Grassa handle that one. And Bob said, absolutely not. I'm getting there, baby.
Bob!
So shout out to Bob Wischusen. He's incredible at what he does, and I just thought it was wild that he was able to pull that off. So good for him. The Athletic, Zach Rosenblatt, wrote a really cool story about Bob's time as the voice of the Jets. Because why would you write about the current team right now if you're Zach? Let's focus on something not related to the current team. 800-919-3776. We're going to get to the Giants coming up, but more of your calls right now on the Jets. We say hello to Jim in Queens, who's up next on the K Show. Hello, Jim.
Hey, what's up, Jake? So the two words that you bring up, I've been saying for years, not normal. that we don't have a pick. It's not normal in 15 games. Since Rex and Sanchez, all Jet fans talk about is the next coach and the next quarterback.
Yep.
It's disgusting. It's unbelievable.
What else do we have to talk about? We can't talk about actually winning games.
I know. That's how awful it is. That's all we talk about. But you know what? I thought they were getting all this draft capital to get one of the rookies. But you know what? I think I'm making an about face. Now, everybody brings up Burrow. I think they're going to, try to get a guy. I think they're going to go the Rams route, and F them picks and try to get a veteran guy because they have to. I think they're going to try to, hit the ground running. You know what scares me about Glenn and Brady Cook's quotes saying, I don't want to turn the ball over? I think they pound into their brains, these quarterbacks, don't turn the ball over. It's okay. This kid should be slinging it all over the lot.
They neuter them,
with
Jim.
3 wins.
Yeah, great call. They neuter the quarterback position. It's not modern how they coach up their quarterbacks. This was a problem with Saleh as well. Remember he had that quote, first 1 to 20 will win. That's how we're approaching it before the Jets played the Raiders in Vegas in 2023. I was there. That game sucked. They do not have a modern approach to how the game is played. That coach said last week it's not about the X's and O's. Coach, it's all about the X's and O's. All the top teams in the league have brilliant strategists as their head coach. We have a guy who doesn't call plays on either side of the ball who's stuck in the 1990s or the early 2000s. I'm not saying that being disciplined and cleaning up the penalties and tackling and fundamentals don't matter. It obviously matters, but that's all Glenn's been trying to sell us on. The Jets do none of those things well, and he's not an expert on his side of the ball. So we hired dollar store Robert Saleh to this point. Saleh won 4 games with Zach Wilson as his quarterback and a way worse roster in year 1. Justin Fields is in his 5th year. They gave him $30 million guaranteed. The Jets are going to finish with 3 wins. This was not supposed to be the case. Their win total in Vegas at every sports book was 6.5. They're going to not even come close to that. They won't sniff a 4th win, given the two opponents they have left. They won't sniff it.
Just don't let go of the rope.
Oh, my God. It's brutal. Brutal. That's the word I keep coming back to. Bob in North Carolina up next on the Michael K. Show with Jake Asman. Hello, Bob.
Hey, Jake. Love the Jet passion. I'm a 50 Jet fan myself. We're talking about, I heard you say something about next year's schedule, and, they're playing the NFC North, the AFC West. Their own division. The way I see it, that's minimum 12 losses right there. Give yourself one maybe against the Raiders and the Dolphins. If you're going to fire this guy with 19 to go, like you said earlier, why are you going to let this guy draft when you got 5 picks on the top 100? Why not just get rid of him and get somebody in here? If you know he's gone anyway, what is the point of letting this guy go on? I don't understand.
Well, Bob, I think Woody Johnson is not going to have the guts to make that level of a decision. And I do think he probably still believes in Aaron Glenn. I think Woody wants to win. I think he keeps trusting the wrong people. But again, he keeps doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. The New York Jets have hired how many first-time coaches from a defensive background in a row since Bill Parcells? The one time they didn't was Adam Gase, who never should have got the job in the first place. Mike McCarthy wanted the job, and apparently the Jets didn't like how he interviewed. Remember that? So let's hire Adam Gase. Again, this franchise just can't get out of its own way, and we as fans, we're the ones who are stuck dealing with it. Here's the Jets' schedule next year. We don't know when the games are, obviously, but we know who the opponents will officially be. They'll play at home, of course, New England, Buffalo, and Miami. They will play the Broncos, the Raiders, the Browns, the Packers, and the Vikings. So the home schedule, at least on paper, is not absolutely brutal. The road schedule, though, in addition to Buffalo, New England, and Miami, at Kansas City, at the Chargers, at the Bears, at the Lions, at Cardinals, at the Titans. Again, how many games will the Jets go into next year with either the better coach or quarterback in the matchup? How many games will they go into next year with the better coach or quarterback combination? Which ultimately, 80% of the NFL is coach and quarterback. We know this, right? You see how the Patriots were winning last night with all their injuries on their O-line and some of the receivers that Drake May is throwing to? It's because they have Mike Vrabel and they have Drake May. Right now, the Jets don't have a head coach anyone can trust, and they have no quarterback. But yeah, let's let a defensive-minded coach pick the next quarterback. That ought to go well. What could go wrong? Gabriel in Brooklyn up next on the K Show. Hello, Gabriel.
Hey, man, how you doing, Jake? Listen, I was listening to you a little bit earlier when Aaron Glenn came on talking about don't let go of the rope. I told your man they don't have to let go of the rope because it's not even a rope. They don't even have a rope to hold on. And honestly, to be honest with you, I think one of the biggest mistakes they made was getting rid of Aaron Rodgers because his contract wasn't going to be that much longer at this point or the way the season was going for them. A veteran quarterback present like Aaron Rodgers would have helped them a whole lot, and they would have got more win out of him than they're doing now. And they would have been playing a whole lot better. So I think they, Aaron Glenn attitude of like, yo, get him out of here, this and this, it backfired on him. You know what I'm saying? He should have kept Aaron Rodgers to help him out. You know what I mean? Put his personal feelings aside, whatever feeling he had towards Aaron Rodgers, he should have put aside and knowing that this guy's a veteran. He's going to be a future Hall of Fame. I could use his guidance as a first-year head coach.
Gabriel, totally fair. My take on Rodgers was this. I wanted them back because it also would have meant you would have had Devontae back, and Rodgers said he would be willing to take a pay cut, and I wanted Rodgers back, draft a quarterback. All right, they moved on. I understood it. The problem is when the pivot is Justin Fields and you're defiant in saying he's never been coached up properly, we signed him because we're going to let him play quarterback. He was tough to game plan against when I was in Detroit. That's part of the reason why I handpicked him. When you say these things publicly and then Fields proceeds to play as bad as he's ever played, that is a major red flag. Again, if they brought Rodgers back with this coach, the defense still would have sucked. Him and Rodgers, I don't think, would have gotten along, and all the blame would have been on Aaron Rodgers. Fans would have taken the side of the former Jet. It would just be delaying what we now know that Aaron Glenn's a bad coach. Now, what's Woody Johnson going to do with this information? Probably nothing, but when the Jets finish 5-12 next year, and Aaron Glenn will have 8 wins through 2 years, he will be fired. We will have a new coach in 2027, and then the cycle will never end. We'll be back. Jake Asman in for Michael K., ESPN New York, ESPN New York app.
No, Michael K.
John Ryan.
Yeah, Dad.
I think I came up with a killer slogan for our law firm. D'Agostino & Associates, bite back.
Bite back?
Yeah. When someone hurts you, you bite back. We'll be the law firm that bites back.
Dad, that's brilliant. Accident victims, call D'Agostino & Associates and bite back. Hey, we could even put a big vicious dog on billboards everywhere.
Yeah, and Rottweilers on buses.
Hey, how about a toll-free number?
What are you thinking?
You know, like 1-800-BITE-BACK.
1-800-BITE-BACK. That's brilliant.
But what if people hear fight back?
Easy. I'll spell it out for them, like 1-800-BITE, back. 1-800-BITE-BACK. That's 1-800-248-3222.
Love it. Hey, Dad.
Yeah?
All this talk about biting back got me hungry.
Me too. Want to grab lunch?
Sure. Hey, how about a jingle?
You mean like D'Agostino, Law, Bite Back?
Discover a driving experience crafted to inspire. At Garden City Mazda, exceptional design and sophisticated performance come together. During the Mazda More to Move You sales event, lease the 2025 Mazda CX-5 for $229 a month for 33 months. Or the 2025 Mazda CX-50 for $239 a month for 33 months. Both with $49.95 to its signing. It's the Mazda More to Move You sales event at Garden City Mazda. At Garden City Mazda, expect the exceptional.
The holidays are here, and Amazon Pickup is your MVP of package pickup. Need that perfect gift like a brand new jersey for the big game? With Amazon Pickup, you can grab your order from secure Amazon lockers or counters near you on your schedule at no extra cost. It's fast, it's easy, and it keeps your holiday surprises tucked safely away. So whether you're running from work or heading to the holiday party, Amazon Pickup makes holiday shopping worry-free. Find your nearest Amazon Pickup location at amazon.com/pickupmvp. That's amazon.com/pickupmvp.
880 ESPN, WHSQ, and WCBS-FM HD2, New York. A Good Karma Brands radio station.
Hey, fans!
fans! Welcome back to Fansville's Cheers and Tears. Oh. Okay, so like everybody deals with losing, right? To a rival on a last-second field goal. Whatever, it's fine. I'm totally fine. But I cope with losing with an ice-cold Dr. Pepper. Those 23 flavors are like so delicious. They totally wash away the pain of your college football team taking a big fat L. College football. It's a pepper thing.
No gift? No problem. With Target's last-minute gifts, the holidays are a breeze. You can score on the hottest toys, beauty must-haves, chocolatey stocking stuffers, and much more. And if you need it now, no worries. Swing by any Target store today and snag all the stocking stuffers and gifts for the most magical season yet. Step into the holidays, check off everything on your list, and save big on your last-minute gifts. Only at Target. Restrictions apply.
No Michael K. Jake Asman in for Michael, 800-919-3776. Hope everyone's having a great day. Monday Night Football tonight featuring the 49ers and the Colts. Jet fans need to root for Robert Saleh and the Niners. Colts pick right now is number 18. They're 8-6. Obviously, every loss, it could go higher, and that will help the Jets, who have 2 first-round picks their own, and the Colts via the Sauce trade. And look, you talk about the Tankathon standings. That Giants-Raiders game on Sunday, I can't wait. It should really be in primetime. I know for all the wrong reasons, it's exciting to think about Giants-Raiders on Sunday. But shouldn't that game be in primetime? Tom Bauer's a Giant fan. He's shaking his head in disgust. Tom, give the people what they want. I need Geno Smith, Jaxson Dart, Pete, I'm going to fall asleep on the sideline, Carroll, up against Mike Kafka. I need it badly. And as a Jet fan, I don't even know who to root for because some Jet fans will tell you, well, root for the Giants to win and then win their final game. And then for the Raiders to then beat the Chiefs in Week 18, like there's all these convoluted paths for the Jets to move up, and you still have the Browns there. So I don't even know like what I should be rooting for yet. I just want to sit back, as Michael K would say, a steaming hot dominoes on my chest to just really watch the toilet bowl of all toilet bowls, the New York Giants versus the Las Vegas Raiders.
I don't want to watch a battle of the bad. I really don't. And I don't need it to be a 4 o'clock game either. Just get it done 1 o'clock, and then I can move on with my life on a Sunday. I don't need this. Like, honestly.
You got to be, you're a Giants fan. You have to be rooting for losses, correct?
I have to be at this point, and I don't want that to be the case because I want to see Jaxson Dart and the Giants do well in the long term. However, the best thing for them right now, get that 1 pick, and then maybe you can ship it and grab some more assets. Or maybe you just say, you know what, screw it. We're going to keep the 1 pick and grab the best player available, not named a quarterback.
So I'm not going to sit here and pretend like the Giants losing to the Vikings yesterday wasn't ultimately better for them long term. There's just things that happen in this game that really start to make you question where this organization's going. If a game like yesterday isn't, I feel like we've said this a million times this year, another nail in the coffin that there needs to be a change at general manager, I don't know what will for the Giants. Again, the move to Kafka was supposed to help things. They have not won a game. They've been non-competitive in some of these games, whereas with Dable, they would blow the lead. With Kafka, they just got blown out in that New England game. We all recall all of it. You look at the Giants, they're 2-13. 9 straight losses. Jaxson Dart had 33 yards passing yesterday. The one thing that Shane could point to was Dart. His development has taken a clear step back since Brian Dable's been fired. And this is not me being pro Brian Dable. He didn't ultimately win enough games. He should have been fired. But again, the one saving grace for Shane was Dart. Well, now Dart's not playing well. The Giants still aren't winning. So it feels silly even having to like make the case why Joe Shane shouldn't be back. It should be obvious. I just hope John Mara agrees for the sake of the Giant fans out there who live and die with their team. I mean, they've lost 9 games in a row. They're 5th since Kafka took over. They have not won a football game since October 9th. What more do you need to know? And again, they neutered Jaxson Dart. I understand you want him to protect himself, but he did not attempt a pass in the game until 1:44 to go in the second quarter. The interception was not his fault after he throws that pass that bounced off Theo Johnson's hands. What was the game plan? And I get it. Brian Flores is a really good coach. That's who I wanted the Jets to hire last hiring cycle of the coaches they actually interviewed because they didn't even have the wherewithal to interview Mike McCarthy. Right? Brian Flores is a good coach from Brooklyn. Had 2 winning years in Miami before he was unceremoniously fired. He was right about Tua. He does that to a lot of young quarterbacks. Look what he did to Jared Goff a couple of years ago. It happens. But Dart's struggling. I've seen some Giants fans now say, well, I don't know about Dart. You can't give up on Jaxson Dart yet. No way. My co-host on Sundays, Mike Tannenbaum, wants the Giants to dump Dart and take Fernando Mendoza. I think he's nuts. I like Fernando Mendoza. I think that is a huge risk. You've already seen Dart at times look special this year. Let's not forget that just because he had a bad game yesterday. He wouldn't be the first. Eli Manning had plenty of bad games his rookie year. Couldn't that game against the Ravens when he had a 0 passer rating? Dart struggling against a Brian Flores defense should not make any Giant fan be out on Jaxson Dart. Let's make that clear. If Dart is made of the right stuff, these type of games are going to be great for him long term. Right? The great ones, they bounce back from this stuff. If Dart is who many Giants fans thought he was, you can't be out on Jaxson Dart because he had a terrible game yesterday. No way. That needs to be shut down right away. So again, we know Mike Kafka has no chance getting this job, but I know there was some thought, hey, could Kafka maybe stay on as the OC for whoever the next Giant head coach is? I don't know if you want to do that based on what we have now seen. But I'm not out on Jaxson Dart by any means. I believe in him. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's shown a lot. I think he has the right mentality to handle playing in this market. I think you either need to have like the Jaxson Dart personality, like Baker Mayfield. You got to be like that, or you got to be, kind of quirky. Chad Pennington, Eli Manning type. Like, I think Dart is the real deal. I think he's a good quarterback. Does he need to learn to protect himself? Yes. Is some of that potentially overblown? Absolutely. Am I out on Jaxson Dart because he had a terrible game yesterday? The Giants are a terrible team. Their general manager should be fired. Goes without saying. Should not be leading any coaching search. This job is infinitely more attractive if both GM and coach vacancies are open. And it behooves the Giants to find a way to lose these last 2 games here against the Raiders and the Cowboys. I'm not sure if they will. But either way, I'm sticking with Dart, and I'm trading that pick, and I'm getting a haul and using those picks to try and build my team. That's what the Giants need. Damian Woody on Bart and Carlin earlier. What should the Giants do if they have the number 1 pick?
I don't think there's a quarterback in this draft that I would take over Jaxson Dart. I think Jaxson Dart is a building block type of guy, and I think you got to get the right coaching here that can utilize this, that can put this young man in the right position. So, listen, I think the Giants, if they find themselves with the number 1 pick, it'll be a coveted spot because there'll be a team like the Jets or the Browns that'll be willing to give up assets to move up to that number 1 pick.
That's the move. Again, Dart was terrible yesterday. I don't want to excuse it, but part of this evaluation has to be who's he throwing to right now, right? Again, he was having really good games without Malik Neighbors for most of it. He played in this first game, and that was it. They haven't had Scatterboo now for weeks. Just because Dart struggled against a Brian Flores-led defense, that should not stop any Giant fan, I believe, from still believing in the guy. I think Dart's a reason why the Giant job is actually an attractive one. Because I think there'll be other coaches around the league who look at Dart and say, I can win with this guy. But the Giants need a lot of pieces. One thing is obvious watching this game yesterday, Giant fans. They got to re-sign Jermaine Illuminor. I mean, that guy is a priority. You see what the difference is when he's out there versus when he's not. Give Shane credit for that signing at least. Good leader, good player. And they're wasting a great season from Brian Burns, too, on a side note. Brian Burns, 2 sacks yesterday, forced that fumble that completely eviscerated J.J. McCarthy. Again, for the Giants not to win when some guy named Max Brosmer is playing quarterback for an entire half is just stunning. That's how bad the Giants are. For weeks, people said the Raiders won't win another game. The Raiders nearly beat Houston yesterday. Right now, the Raiders should be a favorite at home against the Giants this week. The Giants have played like the worst team in the NFL. They've been worse than the Raiders. Let's be fair. But again, Burns now has 15 sacks on the year, second most in the league behind Myles Garrett, who's got 22. And it's the most by a Giant player since JPP, when he still had all his fingers in 2011. And, I mean, they're wasting it. Unreal. We shouldn't be surprised, but, man, it's just like the Giants have really become the Jets, and the Jets have remained the Jets, as I've said ad nauseum now since I've been doing shows on this station. It's just the fact that New York football remains this bad. It boggles the mind. They're 5-25 combined this year. And really, the Jets in 2022, they went out there and started 6-3 and then 7-4 and then collapsed when Mike White got hurt and had to go back to Zach Wilson and Chris Streveler. And I wanted to take that rope that Aaron Glenn is talking about and choke myself out watching it. They finished 7-10, right? At least they started 6-3 and 7-4. You had something if you were a football fan of the Jets for a lot of that year. The Giants with Dable and Shane in year one, with Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, went 9-7-1. They went to the playoffs. They won a playoff game. Since then, what have we had? And before then, what have we had? We had one outlier year in 2022, and it has been an unmitigated disaster. Unmitigated disaster every year for these franchises. 5-25 combined this year. This might be the worst year yet, honestly. 800-919-3776. Bobby in Vermont is first this hour. Hello, Bob.
Hi, Jake. How you doing?
Bobby.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, Bobby. The Jets stink, but the Knicks are good.
Calm down. You might get a heart attack. I agree with you on the Jets and the Giants. I think Dart is a great quarterback. I'm telling you. And then, did you see that pass he threw to Slaton right in his hands?
And they dropped it.
Slaton couldn't. Yeah, I know, right in his hands. What is he getting paid for? I want him off the team. I want Kiffer out of there. I want new. I heard that the Dane coach might be going to the Giants. You hear that?
How would you feel about Marcus Freeman, Bobby? Would you endorse his candidacy to be the Giants' next head coach?
Yes, I will. Yes, he is a great coach on Notre Dame.
All right, repeat after me if you're going to make an official endorsement. You ready?
Yeah, ready.
I, Bobby in Vermont.
I, Bobby in Vermont.
Officially endorse.
Marcus Freeman.
To be the next head coach of the New York Football Giants.
Will be the next head coach of the New York
Giants. No, you got to repeat after me.
I did.
Close enough. All right, Bobby's endorsement for Marcus Freeman is now on the record. It has happened. Bob! Just realized that drop applies for Bob as well. More of your calls right now. Israel in Queens is next on the Giants. Hello, Israel.
Hi, how are you?
Fantastic, Israel. What do you got for us?
Well, I'm trying to figure out the game plan yesterday. If they were trying to protect Dart from getting hurt, why did they even play him? And it was just an absurdity. Number two is, as the previous caller said, you have to have receivers catch the ball. He had an interception off the hands that the guy should have caught. Then he had Slaton drop a ball. It's hard to play a game when your receivers, one, can't get open, and two, when they do, they drop the ball. The third aspect is that they're rushing him like crazy, and the Giants are incompetent at being able to do a screencast. Whenever they do that, they don't have any blockers out there like the other teams do for it to be successful. So I think there's so many things wrong, but the last thing that's wrong is Dart. I just don't understand the whole game plan. And I'm not unhappy they lost. I just would have liked to see a decent game, and they played disgustingly yesterday.
Well said, Israel. Again, if the goal is to protect Jaxson Dart to that extent, don't play him. Now, that's not going to happen because Mike Kafka said today that Dart is clearly the starter for the last two games. So let him play. And I understand you need him to take care of himself. That was a big emphasis for the Saints quarterback, Tyler Shuck, coming into that game. The announcers talked about it ad nauseum. If anyone who watched Jets Saints yesterday heard that. Like, Dart's got to learn, but he's only going to learn by playing. Don't baby him. Again, he had 33 yards yesterday. I mean, last time I checked, Jaxson Dart's last name is not Boyle. I mean, that was a Tim Boyle stat line yesterday. Let him play. And again, any Giant fan, because I've seen some of this, who's now out on Dart, come on. Do people remember Dart wasn't supposed to start this year, right? We all thought he was a second-round pick, maybe could go into the first round. Would need time to sit and develop. People got to be patient. I'm not out on Dart because he had a bad game against a great defensive mastermind in Brian Flores, who does that to a lot of quarterbacks. A lot of young quarterbacks, too. More of your calls. Let's say hello to Brian in Oregon, who is up next. Hello, Brian.
Hey, Jake, how are you?
What's up, Brian?
Oh, not too much. Hey, I want to talk about Aaron Glenn and specifically in relation to Woody Johnson. If you compare Coach Glenn to other head coaches, there's like a significant intelligence level deficit that AG is working with here.
Are you talking about strategy-wise? When you say intelligence,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even going back to earlier in the year with that bungled field goal distance and stuff like that. But, the fact is that he doesn't call the plays. He's put, all his faith in Justin Fields and identifying coaching as the issue, and yet coaching is the biggest issue with this team.
Yeah, I mean, again, Brian, I think the biggest issue is that Aaron Glenn, he comes in, he preaches the right things that need to be improved, but I don't think that's what wins ultimately in the NFL in 2025. And what I mean by that is this. He comes in and he's focused on the old school talking points, effort, penalties, turnovers, field position. That stuff obviously matters. But in today's NFL, it's not the foundation of what wins. The modern NFL is driven by strategy, scheme, game planning, and it's all about offense. And the Jets, again, have an anemic offense. And you can't blame the O-line. PFF went through all the sacks yesterday. Guess what? Only 2 of them were on the Jets O-line. Their quarterbacks hold on to the ball forever. They don't get it out. They don't have a game plan. They don't process. Probably hurts when you have a running back who is your QB coach in Charles London. I'll say that again. Glenn sounds like a coach who stuck 20 years ago. Good teams win because of strategy. X's and O's. The Jets are always out-coached. They never have the strategy or schematic advantage. When was the last time a Jet coach out-coached someone? Yes, there is a talent issue on the team. Should the Saints be 23 points better than the Jets? Should the Jets trail 21-0 to the Dolphins, who, look at their last 2 games since they played the Jets. Look at Tua being benched. Again, Glenn promised development and improvement throughout the year. The Jets have regressed in all aspects. There's only so many times we could say, well, Jake, they have a good special teams unit. It's not enough. Frank in Newark, up next on the K Show with Jake Asman. What's up, Frank?
Hey, Jake. Good afternoon. Look, I'm going to say this with Jaxson Dart. Remember, he wasn't supposed to start this year, and if he was going to start, he was going to come with growing pains.
Correct.
So the fact that Giants fans are going to dismiss him after this game, it's asinine. Excuse my language. It's asinine for them to say that. Keep in mind, he scored 32 points against the Denver Broncos defense that was ranked pretty high in the NFL. So going forward, I'll say this: the Giants powers that be cannot get too flirtatious and try to get cute with with the opportunity to get the number 1 overall pick, because this is virtually a chance to actually get some talent on this team and to actually create a team going forward with this pick. I mean, this pick, there are teams out there that are vying for a quarterback. The Jets, the Raiders, the Saints. They're all looking for a quarterback, and they might be willing to trade up and give you king's ransom for that number 1 overall pick. So you can't do something that you did last year, which is win a meaningless game.
Frank, I agree with you. The problem is, what does Mike Kafka care? Right? What do the Giants coaches care? They're all gone. They're going to try and win. I did radio in Houston for 6 years. I grew up in New York. I grew up on Long Island. But I was in Houston for 6 years. The Texans were really bad by the last couple of years there, right? They had a preacher running their organization. They were way worse than the Jets have ever been, believe me. That's why it's infuriating that the Jets can't figure it out. In Houston, they got it right and are back to being a good football team again after they were picking second in the draft in back-to-back seasons, or second and third, right? They took Derek Stingley before Sauce Gardner, and then a year later they took C.J. Stroud. Remember that? Well, Lovie Smith, who was their head coach, who knew he was being fired. Remember he won that last game of the season against the Colts in Week 18? Cost the Texans the number 1 pick. They were not going to get Bryce Young. Turned out to be a blessing for the Texans, which is why you can't go nuts about where you're picking. It's about who you pick and all that. But I bring that up because Lovie Smith's playing to win. Mike Kafka's going to play to win, too. If the Giants win one of these games and it costs them the number 1 pick, what are you supposed to do if you're a Giant fan? How you root won't impact the game. The only way you could strategically tank is if John Mara comes down and instructs Mike Kafka to go and say, hey, I demand you to put Russell Wilson out there. But I don't think John Mara, who has too much respect for the NFL and the integrity of the game and all that, I don't think he's going to do that. Would the Giants be better off having the number one pick? Absolutely. Not because they could take Fernando Mendoza with that pick and trade Dart like Mike Tannenbaum on our show yesterday was saying he would do. I disagree with him there. But you could trade that pick, get a bunch of picks in return, still get a good player, and start to build out your football team. Give the next general manager the opportunity to build out the roster the way he sees fit, because the roster that Joe Schoen has put together has produced 5 wins over the last 2 seasons. They won 3 last year. They're at 2 right now. Let's be nice and say the Giants win one more game to Joe Schoen. 6 wins in 2 years? But I'm supposed to believe there's talent on this team? I'll play along. Gilberto in the truck up next on the K Show with Jake Asman. Hello, Gilberto.
Hey, what's up, Jake? Yo, great show. You're making so many points, and this is what I like about you, Jake. You stick to the points, you stick to the facts, you stick to what the listener wants to hear. And I appreciate you doing that.
Well, thank you, Gilberto.
One question I'm going to pose to you, and I'm going to pose to the fans as well. Giants are definitely getting the number one pick. You got no receivers. You got no running back. You got only a homeboy that's killing defensive ends, killing on defense. So you're definitely getting the number one pick. Who would you pick with that number one pick? Would you go Love? Would you go the defensive end from Ohio State?
Can I trade the pick, Gilberto? That'd be the first thing I would do. I would try and trade with the Jets because I'm obviously biased here. I want the Jets and Giants to get a deal done so the Jets can get a quarterback and the Giants can get some picks. I would start there. I'm still getting a premium player. And look, the Giants have needs everywhere. They could go receiver. They could obviously take another stud rusher because I don't think Kayvon Thibodeau is going to be back. I mean, they could take Caleb Downs if they wanted to. He might be the best overall player. He's the safety DB out of Ohio State. They have a lot of options. That's what I would do. I would try and trade down and still get a premium player and get extra picks.
Thanks, Jake.
You got it, Gilberto. I appreciate it. I love the name Gilberto, by the way. Gilberto. That is the good stuff right there. No, I said Gilberto, Don. 800-919-3776. Connor Rogers, who you watch with Bart Scott on SNY's Jets pre- and post-game show, also on NBC Sports. He's going to be joining us for some Jet and Giant talk. Connor's NBC's draft guru, so he's the guy whose opinion I hold in high regard. We'll talk to him about both the Jets and the Giants scenarios in these drafts, in the draft coming up, because obviously it makes a lot of sense for the Jets and Giants to do business together if the Giants do end up with that number one pick. But let's squeeze in another call before we do. Let's say hello to Justin in Floral Park. Hello, Justin.
Jake, how are you, buddy? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Justin. What do you got for us?
As a long-time suffering Bills fan who missed the playoffs 17 years, it could definitely turn, okay? We got Josh Allen. Doesn't mean you guys got to get Mendoza. You know, it's about developing the quarterback, and that's the biggest problem the Jets have had. Outside of Chad Pennington and maybe Sanchez for a little bit, guys never developed quarterbacks. That's the problem with the Jets. I mean, in a nutshell, coming from an AFC rival, just what I've seen.
Yeah, it's totally fair.
Try with the quick fix. You know, with Aaron Rodgers, didn't work out. And, you know, Vinny T, it worked out for a year, and it is what it is. Now, I got a question about the Sunday night game. Did you watch the Ravens-Patriot game?
Yes, I did.
And, I mean, it wasn't really a big thing with the Bills, but can you tell me how Henry scores a touchdown and doesn't touch the ball the rest of the game?
Yeah, crazy.
And was not injured?
And Harbaugh said afterwards it was a mistake. But, I mean, look, I hold –
It was a mistake? Are you kidding me?
I know. I hold Harbaugh in high regard. I think he's one of the better coaches over the last 10 years.
Fired anyway, but that's terrible, man.
Hey, he might, right? I mean, has he started to lose it? Does he need a fresh start? Is like Andy Reid in Philly? I mean, for Derrick Henry to not be out there and then for the head coach to say, yep, you're right, that's a mistake. I mean, that's almost a fireable offense if it wasn't Harbaugh, because that's crazy.
I mean,
if Aaron Glenn said
Lamar,
that,
Lamar was ruled out.
Yeah.
I mean,
yep.
My son's a huge Raven fan. I went down there 2 weeks ago when they played the Steelers, and the fans are fed up with him. And listen, they should have won that game. I still don't know how Isaiah Likely, that wasn't a touchdown, but the Ravens are not making the playoffs. So they really do need to move on from him because there's too much talent on that team to be that bad.
Maybe he just needs a clean start elsewhere. Like I brought up Andy Reid in Philly. He'd be a good candidate for the Giants. I know it hasn't gone well, but I'm giving him an interview. Again, I'll say for the Giants coach search what I said for the Jets a year ago, and the Jets obviously ignored everything I wanted them to do, as usual. I don't believe this is a job for a first-timer. I think the Giants should hire Mike McCarthy. He's good with quarterbacks. He can handle Jerry Jones and win 12-plus games 3 of his 5 years in Dallas. The only time he didn't win was when Dak was hurt. That's a guy that could stabilize things. Mike McCarthy to the Giants would be Tom Thibodeau, what he did with the Knicks. He'd get you out of hell. He'd get you out of the underground, the Ertz core that you've been in if you're a Giant fan. Literally, I could just edit every radio segment I did talking about the Jet search and just insert the word Giants and it applies. It's the same thought process. This is not a job for first-timers. How many times are the Giants going to continue to hire first-time coaches? At least they got Dable's specialty right, the offensive side of the ball, and he helped you get Jaxson Dart. You at least are leaving with that. That's what they need, though. 800-919-3776. Connor Rogers, who you watch on SNY's Jets pre and post, does the NFL draft for NBC Sports and has a million other jobs that I could list off. He's going to be joining us. We'll get his thoughts on the state of the Jets, get his thoughts on the Giants and the draft, and a whole lot more. Keep it right here. Jake Asman with you. In for Michael K. It's ESPN New York and the ESPN New York app.
Hey, New York and New Jersey. Boost Mobile has an unlimited talk, text, and data plan that's only $25 a month forever. Meaning you'll only ever pay $25 a month for the rest of your life. Who wouldn't want unlimited wireless when it only costs $25 a month forever? If you don't, you must be one of those people who enjoy overpaying for their phone plan. $25 a month forever is truly as good as it gets. So go online and switch now at boostmobile.com. After 30 gigabytes, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost Mobile Unlimited plan.
Boxing is back at Madison Square Garden on Saturday, January 31st for the Ring 6. Teofimo Lopez versus Shakur Stevenson. Power meets precision on boxing's biggest stage. This is one fight you won't want to miss. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com and watch every round live exclusively on DAZN.
New York Presbyterian treats more heart patients than any other hospital in New York. From common to complex conditions, our cardiologists and heart surgeons are pioneers in advanced heart care, leading the way in minimally invasive treatments for faster recovery times. Find a doctor at nyp.org/heart. Stay amazing. New York Presbyterian. New York Presbyterian Hospital based on U.S. News and World Report 2025 to 2026 Cardiology, Heart, and Vascular Surgery rankings.
There are a lot of reasons why people buy at Ramsey Mazda. It's their selection, it's their customer service, and it's their savings. During the More to Move You event, lease a new 2025 Mazda CX-30 2.5S all-wheel drive for $159 for 36 months. Start shopping now at RamseyMazda.com. Choose wisely, choose Ramsey Mazda. Call 833-853-2970 for details. VIN SM839072. MSRP $26,690. Zero security deposit. Ends 1/2/26.
If you've been injured on a construction site, then you need a lawyer who knows New York's unique labor laws. At the Parisman Firm, they have decades of experience handling construction accident cases and a proven track record of delivering huge results. Their team has already recovered nearly $1 billion for hardworking New Yorkers. From scaffold accidents to slip and falls and equipment failures, they've got your back. Call the Parisman Firm now at 718-WORKERS. That's right, 718-WORKERS, because your case is their cause. Get the justice you deserve today.
The holidays are here, and Amazon Pickup is your MVP of package pickup. Need that perfect gift like a brand new jersey for the big game? With Amazon Pickup, you can grab your order from secure Amazon lockers or counters near you on your schedule at no extra cost. It's fast, it's easy, and it keeps your holiday surprises tucked safely away. So whether you're running from work or heading to the holiday party, Amazon Pickup makes holiday shopping worry-free. Find your nearest Amazon Pickup location at amazon.com/pickupmvp. That's amazon.com/pickupmvp.
Getting more as a MyLowe's Pro Rewards member is easier than ever with the Lowe's app. Download it today and earn 500 points the first time you log in. Plus, your digital wallet helps you scan, save, earn, and access what you need to manage it all in one place. Download the Lowe's app and take advantage of your Pro benefits today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid 12/1/25 through 1/7/26. Offer valid for first login per organization only. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Additional restrictions apply. Visit Lowe's.com/terms for more details. Subject to change.
Clinton Yates here, and the holidays are upon us, full of gatherings, toasts, and plenty of cheer. And if you're like me, you want every moment to shine. That's why I head to Total Wine & More, where you'll find it all at the lowest prices, from rich whiskeys and smooth tequilas to festive liqueurs and elegant champagnes. And if you're not sure what to grab, their guides will help you find bottles that impress. You'll always find what you love and love what you find, only at Total Wine & More. Spirits not sold in Virginia and North Carolina. Drink responsibly. Be 21.
Jake Asman in for Michael K.
No Michael K.
Taking you till 3 o'clock. Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg comes your way then. Lots still to talk about. We will get to the Knicks, believe me, because thank God for the New York Knicks, because I gave the stat last segment. New York football this season is a combined 5-25. So thank God for the Knicks, who last night had a great performance behind their captain, Jalen Brunson, and did defeat the Miami Heat. We get back into the Jets conversation right now. We say hello to someone who knows the Jets as well as anyone. You could watch him on the Jets pre- and post-game show on SNY. He's part of the Badlands Network on Patreon. He's on NBC covering the draft in the NFL. It's our guy, Connor Rogers, who's kind enough to give us some time here on a Monday. Connor, happy holidays, and really appreciate you joining us.
Same to you, Jake. Thanks for having me, man. How are you?
I'm okay. You know that I'm suffering with this Jets team. And again, I want to make it clear. I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, they're so bad, when I'm someone who believes losing at this point is better. But am I wrong for thinking, man, it's not just that they're losing, it's how uncompetitive they've been? Should they really be 23 points worse than the New Orleans Saints yesterday?
Right, that's the exact issue. The fact that this is a team that there was a little stretch and, they won 3 of 5. The 2 losses against Baltimore and New England looked better than this. And then you think that you're taking some strides in some places with some young players, some new players, hopefully some players that have been here are kind of starting to mesh into the culture and the scheme. 2 things that the Jets have completely lacked this year, by the way. And then you get blown out by Miami, blown out by Jacksonville, and blown out by New Orleans. 2 of those 3 teams are very poor by the NFL standards right now. And I think what it comes down to, because it's easier to evaluate things in a vacuum. I agree with you. Losses are kind of king for the Jets at this moment. The better they can, kind of set themselves up in this draft is best for their long-term future, which is going to be a really interesting final 2 weeks of the season. But I think the bottom line is, hearing all the chatter that no matter what, Aaron Glenn is back, you have to be honest with yourself and ask yourself, number one, what has Aaron Glenn, how has he grown into this job this year? Usually when you have a new regime, you give them a little grace that there's not going to be a ton of wins right away as they try to retool the system. Well, Glenn, from all the chatter this summer and the first half of the season, tried to win with some players that have been here and some lower-cost moves. They started off 0-7. They traded 2 of their best players in Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams, realizing they needed to completely change the strategy and the picture, and that pivot was probably the correct one. But now when you look at it, it can't look like this, right? Where, honestly, for the most part, Glenn is really going through it on the sidelines. You can evaluate his in-game decisions. You can evaluate schematically what they do and don't do, especially on the defensive side of the ball, which is what got him in this position, right? They don't generate any pressures from a scheme standpoint of blitzing. They're right at the bottom of the league in unblocked pressures generated, which is usually a good signal of how effective your blitz packages are. And honestly, a lot of the players that, he talked about over summer, these guys just needed coaching. A lot of the players from the previous regime, forget having taken step forwards. A lot of them have taken steps backward. It has not been a good year coming off injury for Jermaine Johnson. Will McDonald has run very hot and cold. Jamie Sherwood played better yesterday, but he's had a terrible year after they gave him the contract extension. They gave Brandon Stevens a lot of money in free agency, and he's been very up and down, and I would argue a little bit more down. They don't have any talent on the back end of the defense. Quincy Williams doesn't look like himself in the scheme, and he'll leave for free agency anyway. So it's very tough right now, and it doesn't mean they can't get it right. It doesn't mean they can't draft their way out of this. But what you can evaluate right now is where this coaching staff stands. And outside of special teams under Chris Banjo, they don't really do anything well.
And I heard you on the postgame say, how many times can we talk about the special teams? Because, again, while that's nice, here they are with 3 wins. And, Connor, I'm going to give you a stat. I don't know how many Jet fans are aware of just, how bad it is, because I think we're just so desensitized to all the losing. Assuming the Jets lose these last 2, whether it be significant underdogs against the Patriots and the Bills, Glenn's going to finish with 14 losses. That's only happened for a Jet coach 2 other times before this year, and the coaches were coat tight and gay. So I'm sitting here as a Jet fan. I don't enjoy being critical of this head coach, but it just feels like they're going to get off to a bad start next year. You look at the schedule, it's brutal, at least on paper, and it's going to be dead coach walking for Aaron Glenn, and here we go, coach search in 2027, and the cycle's never going to end. Like, what can I hold on to that things would actually get better for this regime?
Right, and I think some people, and I understand this from fans, but some fans are sensitive to people like you, and I'm guilty of this as well, or just being honest, of really criticizing everything that's gone on next year. But you can say that and still accept that things can get better next year, right? Maybe you improve as a coach. Maybe you make the right DC hire and the scheme looks a lot better. And with all the draft picks and free agency money you have, the roster is a lot better. Now, I'm not a big believer and proponent of assembling a team through free agency because, one, a lot of the great in their prime players don't make it a free agency. There's a reason they even get there anymore. Teams just lock up their own guys by the time free agency comes around. 2, I don't really know what the pitch would be to free agents for this Jets team right now besides money. And yes, money goes a long way, but everybody in the NFL has cap space when they want it. They just manufacture it. They put void years on deals. They kick money down the road. With the TV money in the NFL, every team can generate cap space if they need it for a player they really like. So that's a hard thing to bet on for the Jets right now. Now, the draft, not so much. I think the draft is where they can really clean up. I liked what they did in the first 3 rounds last year with Membu, Mason Taylor, and Azaria Thomas, especially before Azaria got hurt for the season. I thought he was playing really well at corner. So maybe Darren Muji can capitalize on having multiple picks in the first and second rounds and maybe even find a player on day 3, which is something they kind of struggled to do, it looks like, in last year's class, depending on how Malachi Moore ends up. So I think, yeah, once again, the issue is you're hoping for it to turn at some point gradually. You're not expecting to take 10 steps up the ladder. You're expecting to maybe take 1, 2, or 3 the first year, and there just hasn't been consistent improvement from specifically the coaching staff. And anybody can get on there and say, well, they're starting Brady Cook. He's not an NFL quarterback. I totally agree. But once again, you can isolate what you're evaluating and see things outside of Brady Cook that are still fundamentally broken with this team right now. They're still not disciplined, right? They're not very creative on either side of the ball overall. So I just, and in game situations, when they are even in a game, aren't really managed properly. So you could sit here and be highly critical of the job Glenn has done this year and lack faith in him going forward, while still accepting that if some things go right, it can get better. But you need to be careful, right? Because I think the next combo you and I are going to have, I would imagine, is this a team that's going to be drafting a quarterback this year? And if that's the case, I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but look at exactly what just happened with the Chicago Bears, right? Chicago Bears drafted a quarterback first overall, and they kept the staff that there wasn't a lot of reasons to believe in them under Matt Eberflus. And it was a disastrous rookie season for Caleb Williams, really a waste of a year of his entire NFL career. They move on from that staff. Now, it looks like they got things right with Ben Johnson, which is a great example of a turnaround. But the Bears probably wish that they never even had that year with Eberflus necessarily in the first place and just tried to hire Ben Johnson that offseason if he was willing to take the job. So you need to be a little bit careful about that as well, especially if they're going to trade assets to go up and get a quarterback. Do you trust this regime developing that quarterback? That's something that we can't answer right now.
Connor Rogers is our guest. Jake Asman in for Michael Kay. Connor's on the Jets pre- and post-game show on SNY. Check him out on Badlands, NFL Stock Exchange podcast as well, and, of course, on NBC Sports. Connor, when you look at the defense, right, because to me, when Aaron Glenn said, we're running the Wilkes system, so then they end up getting rid of Steve Wilkes. Well, now here we are these last couple games. First game without Steve Wilkes, they allowed 29 points. I just struggled to see what exactly Aaron Glenn is doing all week if he's not going to be a part of his defense. He's a defensive coach, of course, and yet now the Jets have broken this stat for not having an interception through 15 weeks. It's just, like, none of it adds up. It doesn't, like, it's just, I get it, the talent's not there, but it shouldn't look like this. There's just too many red flags with what we're watching, if we're being honest.
Yeah, so let me call what's fair and unfair. I think what's unfair is firing Wilkes and expecting anything to change under Chris Harris is we shouldn't have any expectations there. They're not, and Bart really emphasized this as well with us on post-game and pre-game yesterday. You can't change all the verbiage. You can't really change a ton of things that you're asking of these guys. There's just not enough practice time in 1 week to do that. There's probably not enough practice time in these final 2 weeks to really do that. So I would temper expectations on how different things can look. But to your larger point, and I fully agree with this, it's actually one of my biggest frustrations with this organization right now is Aaron Glenn got this job because of his ability to coach up on the defensive side of the ball with the Detroit Lions over the years. Aaron Glenn, since he got this job in the way he speaks and the way the team operates, it just hired a defensive coordinator, one that has not had a good last couple of stops, to completely control the defense. And that has completely blown up in their face now, where you need to be honest with yourself here and go, okay, I understand that you want to coach the whole team, and I respect that. That was a problem on the other end that Robert Saleh had, right? And plenty of coaches have this problem. But like Brian Dable, what went wrong with the Giants? But the problem is, I think everybody needs to be on the same page. And Aaron Glenn needs to either hire a proven defensive coordinator that is going to implement a system that he is a fan of and can evaluate for. Because if you understand and have coached the defensive scheme that you're hiring for right now, that's going to make life easier for you when everybody thinks when football stops, that football stops at the organization. It doesn't. You're still showing up to the facility every day, watching pro tape for free agency and watching college tape for the NFL draft, and finding the right players working in tandem with the GM and the scouting staff that fit what you do on that side of the ball. And when Glenn started the last couple of weeks before he fired Wilks saying it's Wilks' defense, that was a red alarm in my head that it was all put on Steve Wilks. Well, guess what? You only get to point the finger around the room so many times before everybody's looking at you and saying, you're the one hiring these guys. So Aaron Glenn not only needs to get this hire right, but it needs to be somebody aligned with what he wants to do defensively, and it seems like he needs to be more involved with that side of the ball for things to improve.
Connor, you're obviously a draft guy, so I'm curious, what is like the ideal scenario for the Jets? Of course, you want to be picking as high as possible, but when you look at the likely options and the things on how it could play out, what to you would be like a dream scenario for Jet fans down the stretch here that would inspire some hope going forward with this regime?
Yeah, so I think the dream scenario, because you're trying to find every way you can to pick number one, right? I think you're obviously, I think in a way you're oddly rooting for the Giants to beat the Raiders, and that would get the Giants to 3 wins like the Jets have, and then strength of schedule the rest of the season would play a part in this. And then you're rooting for the Raiders to beat a lifeless, severely undermanned Kansas City team the final week of the season. That would get the Raiders to 3 wins. As strength of schedule stands today, which is very fluid in the NFL, despite there only being 2 weeks left, you would have a scenario where, you know, the Jets could possibly try to play ahead of some of those teams, and then obviously you want Cleveland to beat the Steelers as well, get them out of the way of 4 wins. And then you're hoping to be picking 1 or 2, and ideally you'd have – it's weird, right, because this is something that you're not really necessarily rooting for, but the Raiders, if they're ahead of you, I don't think they're going to be able to get out of that pick. It'll be like the Titans last year, where the Titans were like, nope, we're not trading it. We're taking Cam Ward. You don't even bother really calling us with offers because we got our guy. I think the Raiders would do the same thing. Now, the Giants, on the other hand, I think would have an absolute auction for the draft pick. Now, there needs to be a line here in the sand. Like, if the Jets are picking at 2 and Fernando Mendoza and Dante Moore in this draft, maybe they like both those guys and just take a guy. Or even say they like Fernando Mendoza, they want him number 1 overall. Going from 2 to 1, what do you have to give the Giants to go up? It's not going to be 3 1s, right? The cost would be severely lower. And then the Giants could trade out of 2 again if they wanted to in that spot. Now, if the Jets are picking 4 and the Giants are picking 1, is that going to run you the pick swap, the Colts pick, which could be somehow in the top 15, and then another selection? Like, I think there needs to be a line drawn in the sand here, Jake. And I know a lot of people listening will be like, well, you got to get the quarterback. You got to do whatever it takes. How many times do we see a quarterback thrown into a situation where the roster is not good enough and that quarterback fails over and over again? So I don't necessarily agree with the do whatever it takes, because the Jets need some of this draft capital to not only replace the talent that they traded, but to build out the rest of the roster, a roster that doesn't look great at the moment right now. So, yes, you need to find a way to get the quarterback, and the schedule situations that I just laid out to you is probably your best pathway to moving up in this draft. Some of it's likely. Somebody has to win between Giants and Raiders, right? And the Raiders could feasibly beat a bad Chiefs team. Now, the Browns beating the Steelers, that's more on the unlikely scale. So a lot of bad football left to be played out in these 2 weeks.
It's unfortunate, but this is where we're at with this Jets team. Final question for me, Connor. I do a Sunday show with Mike Tannenbaum on our station, and he was defiant yesterday that if the Giants end up with the number 1 pick, if he was running the Giants, he would draft Fernando Mendoza. He loves him. He's compared to the Matt Ryan. He is as high on Mendoza as any prospect he's talked about with me since we started doing the show, and he would trade Jaxson Dart. You're a draft guy. How would Jaxson Dart versus Fernando Mendoza be graded out if you were evaluating the prospects if they were in the same draft class?
It's tricky, right? Because I think, one, I do think Mendoza is going to come out with a higher floor than Dart came out with, coming out of the system that Dart came out with. But Dart, to his credit, I think has played better than anyone expected against pro NFL teams this year. And I know it's been a struggle since he got hurt, but we've seen it before now. We haven't seen Fernando Mendoza against an NFL team. So I think it would be a pretty tough sell to trade Jaxson Dart personally, especially with the other side of it. It's not just as simple as stay at one and take Fernando Mendoza and trade Jaxson Dart for what, right? Like, it's the if somebody's offering me 3 1s, okay, that's a little different. That's not going to happen, right? You're probably getting, I guess, a first-round pick back for Jaxson Dart. But that number 1 overall pick, that if you kept Jaxson Dart, like I said, could be moved twice. You could flip back to 2 and let a team come up for Mendoza, and then a team might want Dante Moore if he declares for this draft at 2, where the Giants are sitting there and going, okay, we have Jaxson Dart, who we really like. He's done some good things this year. He's got to stay healthy. We'll actually have him running, hopefully under a competent head coach next year. And we also have all this talent. We drafted a Carnell Tate from Ohio State to catch passes across from Malik Neighbors with him. And we got an offensive lineman that we feel really, really good about. We spread out the talent to lift up Jaxson Dart. So I would call it, I wouldn't bet on that happening, that they take Fernando Mendoza and move on from Dart that quickly. I think Dart has a lot of supporters in that building, but I'm sure it's not the last time you're going to hear this conversation because we have a lot of airtime to fill until now from the NFL draft.
It's almost Connor Rogers season with the draft. Can't wait, man.
Right.
You do a great job, Connor. I'll actually be in for Carlin tomorrow hosting with Bart, so I'm sure we'll talk about some of the behind the scenes of pre and post on SNY. You do a great job. Thanks so much for coming on.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Jake. Happy holidays, man, and we'll talk soon.
The great Connor Rogers with us there. Check him out on SNY with the Jets, Badlands on Patreon, NFL Stock Exchange podcast with Pro Football Focus, and you can watch them on NBC and NBC Sports covering the NFL and the draft. 800-919-3776. Jake Asman in for Michael K.
No Michael K.
We got one segment to go. Open phone lines if you want in on the football conversation. We'll get to the Knicks as well. Lots still to do. Taking you till 3. It's 880 ESPN New York and the ESPN New York app.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids.
Hurry! It's your last chance to donate for 2025.
Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 1-877 for Kids to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 1-877 for Kids. That's Cars with a K to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Hurry! It's your last chance to donate for 2025. Last chance! Donate now for a 2025 tax deduction.
That $365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in New Jersey. T&Cs apply.
Discover a driving experience crafted to inspire. At Garden City Mazda, exceptional design and sophisticated performance come together. During the Mazda More to Move You sales event, lease the 2025 Mazda CX-5 for $229 a month for 33 months. Or the 2025 Mazda CX-50 for $239 a month for 33 months. Both with $49.95 due at signing. It's the Mazda More to Move You sales event at Garden City Mazda. At Garden City Mazda, expect the exceptional.
Too much on your list this season? Get 50% off your first 6 months of payroll at gusto.com/radio. Gusto saves you 2 days every month on payroll, taxes, and compliance. So you can go from making payroll to making gingerbread houses, checking your books to decking the halls, spreadsheets to snow angels. Switch before the end of the year and there's no need to transfer payroll history. Now that's a reason to be merry. Choose a future with Gusto and get more time for what matters. For a limited time, get 50% off your first 6 months at gusto.com/radio.
Rich Eisen here. As you all know, I care deeply about pediatric cancer research and awareness. That's why I'm proud to talk about Hyundai Hope on Wheels. For over 27 years, every Hyundai sold has helped fund life-saving pediatric cancer research. Together with over 850 dealers nationwide, they've raised more than $277 million, supporting over 25,000 kids in their fight against cancer. At Hyundai, hope isn't optional. It comes standard. Visit HyundaiUSA.com and search Hyundai Hope on Wheels to learn more.
From the regular season to the Super Bowl, ESPN New York is your destination for football. We've got crazy fans.
If the Giants somehow beat the Cowboys, I'm going to take a dump on your head.
You can feel good because you're a damn football team. Expert analysis.
Marcus Spears joins us now. ESPN NFL analyst Damian Woody.
Mel Kiper Jr.
The Hall of Famer Steve Young.
He's kind of our resident general manager, Louis Riddick.
We got Mike Tannenbaum right now.
And all your fantasy and wagering needs. This is ESPN New York. We are football.
No Michael K.
Oh, yeah. Little Mariah and Don LaGreca remix.
No Michael K. No Michael K. Bob.
Oh, the YouTube can't even hear this. I've been informed. I know all about that, Tom Bauer, who runs our YouTube during the show. YouTube, if you dare play any sort of song and their algorithm detects it immediately, they shut down your channel. They demonetize the video immediately. I have gone through that the old-fashioned way on my YouTube channel, so I know what you're talking about, Tom Bauer. For those on YouTube, we were playing a little Mariah Carey. For those on radio, you heard the soothing sounds of Mariah Carey and Don LaGreca, who will be coming up in just a little bit. 800-919-3776. Jake Asman in for Michael. Good stuff there from Connor Rogers, and I think he's fair. Again, it really stinks to be critical of Aaron Glenn and be this out on a Jet coach as quickly as I am, because he's a good dude. He was obviously a great player for this franchise, but we have to be honest about what we're watching. Nothing about this team has improved this year. Nothing. He promised so much and then has moved the goalpost so much. To quote Don LaGreca, Aaron Glenn's hamstrings must be hurting from that back pedal. I mean, come on, man.
Big ships turn slow. Just don't let go of the rope.
The beginning, he was saying, we're built for this bleep. We're here to win now. It's coaching, man. It's coaching. Who's been coached up on this team? You could evaluate aspects of the team and still acknowledge the talent stinks and the quarterback situation is dire. Again, Justin Fields was his choice. Said he signed him because he was tough to game plan against. He's talented. They never thought he'd been coached properly. Imagine saying that Justin Fields has never been coached up properly, and this is the Jet coaching that Justin Fields has received. His quarterback coach is a former running back who's barely coached quarterbacks. His offensive coordinator has never called plays at the NFL level before, and when he was in Detroit, he was the pass game coordinator for a pocket statue quarterback in Goff. Like, this was the Jet plan this year. It's embarrassing, man. And if Woody Johnson believes that they have a real plan, okay. The plan's going to be a 5-12 season next year and a new coach coming in 2027. Could they figure it out? Sure. What evidence do you have to support them figuring it out? Every major decision Aaron Glenn has made has been an abject failure. Now, they were smart after they stunk it up to start 0-7 to then trade Sauce and Quinnen and get the draft capital. That was the right move. That wasn't what was supposed to happen this year. I mean, the Jets can't even, accidentally get off to a good start. Like, Robert Saleh in his second year was 6-3 and 7-4. Will Aaron Glenn ever have a year where the Jets are 6-3 or 7-4? Will we even have the hope of being a fake good football team? I don't see it. Let me say this, though. God bless the New York Knicks. Go New York. Go New York. Go. Great win by the Knicks last night. You know, look, the NBA did them a disservice with the schedule coming off the cup with the amount of games they had to play. The fact that they won in Indiana was great. I know they had a tough one against Philly on Friday, but what a way to bounce back. Brunson was just sensational. All right, we do not appreciate this guy enough. And I know Knick fans love him, and we should love him. That was his 20th 40-point game as a member of the Knicks. Third player in franchise history to do that. Hall of Famers Patrick Ewing and Bernard King are the only other two. This guy is the best Knick since Patrick Ewing. He will have his number in the rafters when it's all said and done. He's about all the right stuff. He's the ultimate leader. And it was special watching him last night score that many points. 47 with ease. And again, let me give some love to Mikal Bridges. I was hard on Bridges, very critical of him last year. He won me over with some of his clutch performances in the postseason. Third straight 20-point game. Bridges has been really good, man. Give Mike Brown credit. I also was a big Tom Thibodeau guy. And ultimately, Mike Brown will be judged based on how the Knicks perform in May and hopefully, fingers crossed, in June. He's done a good job with this team. He's done a very good job with this team. Now, the one negative, Karl-Anthony Towns only had 2 points yesterday. Fewest he scored in a game since he's been a Knick. Towns, I think he's been a lot better of late. I don't know if the Knick fan is ever going to fully trust Karl-Anthony Towns. When they play big-time levels of competition, sometimes he has these games where you just scratch your head, or he commits the silly foul that puts him in foul trouble. So you would love to see him be more consistent, but again, when the Knicks play at their best, as we saw in that Cup final, and how well they played against Orlando, I don't think there's a team in the Eastern Conference that's better when the Knicks are healthy and at their best. And knock on wood, they stay healthy, because we know that is everything in sports, and that's been everything when you look at the state of the NBA this year. Why the East feels so open for the Knicks, we have to acknowledge is the injuries to some of the other contending teams. Tatum in Boston, Halliburton in Indiana, Damian Lillard with Milwaukee. But again, big win by the Knicks, and a great job by Jalen Brunson and Mikal Bridges last night. That was fun to watch. Never a bad night when you could beat the Miami Heat. But by the way, doesn't it feel like the Knicks have only played the Heat and the Magic? When do they get to play other teams, by the way? I feel like every Knick game is against the Heat or the Magic. They already played the Heat 4 times this year. It's crazy. But good win by the Knicks. Awful weekend by the Jets and Giants, although maybe if you're rooting for losses, not so bad. Fun show. Big thank you to Tom and for Ray for producing. I am back tomorrow. I'm filling in for Chris Carlin. It will be Bart and I from 10 to 2. So looking forward to that. I'm sure we'll talk plenty about the state of the New York football teams. Don, Han, Rosenberg coming up next. This is Jake Asman saying, see ya.
No Michael K.
Mornings with DiPietro and Rothenberg.
Got a full fresh batch of Ativan. Yeah.
I think it's the only reason he travels, so he can drug himself.
Well, it's the only reason